Hello there, it's Hannah here, and I am going to answer a question in a sort of brief way. This is an in-depth topic. I'm going to skim the surface a little bit here of about how do we stop our partner from controlling us? This is something that comes up with my clients sometimes, something that I work with them on for weeks and months. And the most succinct answer to that question, how do we stop our partner from trying to control us or from controlling us, is to become a person who is not controllable. I've given this a ton of thought, and something came up that made me really want to share this with you today. I brought my little boy over to my mother-in-law's, and she said something to me that had me thinking. She's like, I guess I'm just going to have to tell him that I don't want to role play anymore. I don't want to pretend to be like a tiger, right? I'm getting tired of it. And it got me thinking, like, because she's always like bending to his desires, which sometimes is beautiful, right? We do want to please our people sometimes, right? But when we're always doing it, we're always doing what they want, and we end up feeling exhausted and resentful. That's a problem, right? Or we feel not competent or not valued. That is a problem, right, in a relationship. And so I just noticed that in my mother-in-law, that she always wants to kind of please my little son. And sometimes that becomes not a very great dynamic. And it made me think, like, well, how is it that I don't let myself be bossed around? How is it that I'm not controllable in that way? And I don't let my kids boss me around. I don't let my husband control me. And at this point, for me, it feels as simple as just saying no. Like, I just don't let myself be controlled like that. But in order to get here to this place, I really had to do a lot of inner work. And to be able to not let my husband control me, to not let anyone in my life control me, to be able to do that easily and guilt-free and from a powerful place, from a loving place, and not from a freaking out place or anything else. So I do want to say that it can be common for highly sensitive people like us to have a controlling partner, and it's not our fault, right? So this is never about blame. It's just that sometimes we set up a dynamic where we make it easier for a controlling person to be even more controlling because because we're oriented towards pleasing. We like to please. That's one of our traits, right? Not for all of us, but for some of us. And we don't want to ruffle other people's feathers. We don't like being around people who are upset. So that puts us up in kind of a weaker position where the other person can come in and be more in charge. And also, we oftentimes will buy into this idea that if we don't make him happy, right? This is like, we don't want to ruffle his feathers. If we don't make him happy, we aren't being a good partner, right? And then we feel bad about ourselves and we feel like we're failing. So in that way, we may find ourselves continuing to be willing to do things that he wants and things that we don't want, or do what he says, or please him when he tells us to do this or that, right? We might do that in little ways, we might do that in big ways. And that sets up this sort of habituated pattern between you, this like unspoken agreement that keeps him being the one who gets to come in and be in charge and tell you what to do, and you being like, yeah, okay, whatever, while under the surface feeling resentful and feeling unimportant and feeling incapable and not respected, all of that stuff. I certainly used to be very controllable myself. In my first couple of relationships when I was younger, much younger, I really did kind of let them sort of manipulate me or tell me what to do or convince me to do things. I remember how awful that felt. I remember not feeling really respected or really even valued for myself. And at a certain point, I figured out how to not be someone that others could control. So how, right, is the question. So it really comes down to taking some actions. Like the surface level is that there's some actions you can take that will stop him, that will kind of help retrain him to not think he can be in charge of you, who cannot think, yeah. So here is some of what it takes, right? So these are the actions that are needed. For one, don't ask him permission to do things, right? If that's going on for you, Just notice, and you get to give your own self permission for what you do and what you don't do in this world, right? Also, this might be like if you're used to asking his opinion before you make a decision or something, just don't do that. Trust yourself, yeah? Ask your own opinion and go by what it feels right for you. Next thing is in a situation where he might be asking you to do something or telling you to do something, hey, pick that thing up. Hey, can you stop at the grocery store? Whatever the thing is he's telling you to do. You just get to say, matter-of-factly, that is key, not with emotion, right? Not all emotional about it. You just get to say, no, I can't, and have it be that simple. Or if he's trying to tell you how to do something, you can say something as simple as, I got this. And if he keeps trying to tell you how to do it better, or make suggestions to improve it, you can just say, well, if it matters so much to you, you can do it, right? Or again, you could just say, nope, I got this. Don't worry about it. I got it under control, right? Or I'll do it my way. Thanks for your input. I'll do it my way. Yeah. So there's no room for his input, right? As if you are totally in control of yourself, which you are, right? As if you are totally capable and sure of yourself, which you can grow to be. So those are the actions, but what's most important is what you feel like below that. Like what's below the actions, what enables you to take those actions. Here are a few things. Like you need to be able to feel like you know what is right for you, right? And that he's not the authority on you, that you're the authority on you, right? You need to be able to trust that you know what is right for you, and maybe what you know what is right for the child, or whatever this control issue comes down to. You really have to feel solid in yourself in so many ways. There are a couple things that really snag us up in this way. One of them is feeling like we have to earn our partner's approval. We have to do things he likes in order to be liked, right? And this is the one that's sort of tied up with that, is make sure that he doesn't get upset, right? When we feel like that's our job, that we have to earn his approval and that we have to make sure he doesn't get upset, that will always get us back into the place where we're much more easily controllable. So I want to just reframe those for you for a minute. For one, you don't have to do anything. You don't have to do anything for him for you to be a very worthy, wonderful, awesome partner, right? When you feel like you have to do something the way he likes it, that's not love, that's duty, right? That's not love, that's duty, and that's not what we're signing up here for a thriving marriage, right? You totally can do things for him, but just make sure you're doing it from love, not from duty or I have to or I need to, right? That's never love, that's just duty. The other piece here is that you're going to need to be willing to risk him getting upset, right? This is the other reframe. Like, it's okay for him to get upset. Drop the need for him to always feel pleased with you. No, it's not your fault if he feels a certain way. And he's allowed to be upset. That's okay. It doesn't mean anything about you as a human being. It doesn't make you a bad partner. And in fact, letting him have his feelings actually makes you a good partner because you're creating a better dynamic, right? If you're stepping up to let him be upset because you know it's going to change the dynamic for the better in your relationship, that's a really valid reason and a wonderful thing to do for you and for the relationship, okay? It is not a bad thing to do. And kind of as an extension of that, it really is not your job to keep him happy, right? That's his job. You can handle him being upset with you. That's okay. It's going to be okay, especially if you know how to handle your feelings. That's important work, to be able to handle your feelings. Let him have the job of keeping himself happy, just like you have the job of keeping yourself happy, right? Of knowing how to work with your feelings, of knowing how to handle it when other people in your life are upset. Yeah? Once you're able to do those things and take those actions that we talked about earlier, like say, no, I can't, for example, set those boundaries, then you guys get to be on level ground, right? Then it's not like he's above you and you're below him, or he's in charge and you're the subordinate, right? You get to be on level ground together, happy together, feeling like a team in life, which is ultimately what all of us want, even our partners. That's what they signed up for too, to have a teammate in life. So I hope that's really helpful. I haven't talked about this before because it's kind of advanced territory. It really is, where you get to a place in yourself where you can kind of shift this, dynamic. It requires some real inner shift, some real inner strength, some real self-awareness, an ability to own your experience and own your power. That's how I like to talk about it. And really have some control and control over your emotions. Emotional agency is what I call that, right? And the ability to really come from love, both for yourself and for the relationship. Having all of that enable you to be a person who is not controllable. Yeah. And a person, therefore, who has a much more respectful relationship with her partner, right? Someone who doesn't bend to others' will, but just earns so much respect and love in the relationship from being herself and from being in charge of herself. Ultimately, also becoming someone who's really able to love deeply and strongly, right? It's from that place, like all of those things we just talked about, that you can actually do your best loving too. Learn to stand strong in yourself, learn to love deeply, learn to be loved deeply in return. I hope that's helpful. I hope that's inspiring. I know there's a lot there to unpack. If you have more questions, feel free. And feel free to ask more questions, and I'm happy to talk about it. If you know this is an area you really need help with and you want deep work on this for yourself, please don't hesitate to reach out and talk to me about how we can do this work one-on-one together. And let me know if you have questions or comments. Talk to you soon. Bye.